Reality Transurfing, Book 3, Forward to the Past, by Vadim Seeland, Chapter 2, Segment 2, The Flow of Relationships. Usually, either you or your company are, in the end, making something that is consumed by other people. How to prompt people to want to buy these particular products? If you think that they will buy it only because it is magnificent, you are wrong. The typical mistake would be the position of internal intention. We are creating masterpieces, so people will definitely be buying them. The position of internal intention makes a triple mistake. First of all, the phrase, "we are creating masterpieces," highlights internal importance. You consider your creation to be perfect. Thus, it is important to you. And if that is the case, you won't be able to objectively evaluate the piece. After all, you are not indifferent to it. Second of all, internal intention is aimed at selling your creation to other people. They won't want to buy it because from their point of view, it is not a masterpiece at all. And someone's intention to sell is not of any interest to them. And finally, the main mistake of such a position is the focus of internal intention, which lies on the actual products and not on the needs of the customers. The narrow orientation of internal intention will result in you creating a perfect product that no one will need. That happens quite a lot. The position of external intention is to identify what people want, what they lack, what they need, what motivates them, what interests them. External intention is aimed along the flow of variations. By engaging in the production of a masterpiece made up by your own mind, you are trying to move against the flow. The mind always tends to idealize his abilities. He is completely and fully captivated by the creative process, not seeing anything around him. The mind strives to get everything under his control. But consumer demand submits to control with difficulty, and it is always moving with the flow in its own channel. To affect the flow of demand to a certain degree, one would need great means for advertisement, but that doesn't always work. The mind is unable to predict the tendencies of demand, and you don't really need that. Everything you need is to keep up with the flow and notice the smallest changes in its direction. There is no need to invent an object of demand. Almost all inventions that are ahead of their time do not find any application. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be creating completely new things at all. The point is that if you count on making money on a masterpiece that you created that is ahead of the flow of variations, then you will most probably lose your bet. Of course, if your find is truly ingenious, it could explode the market, but that rarely happens. There is guaranteed success only for a business that is aimed at satisfying current demand. Now let's once again return to the set question. In what way can you prompt people to want to buy your products? This is what the answer would be. Not in any way. It is very hard, if not impossible, to accomplish. By the means of internal intention, you will attempt to impose your product onto other people. External intention, moving along the flow, attempts to identify what people want and what they have more than enough of. Demand is determined by the flow of variations. The flow of variation already contains all the answers, and only the flow of variations could offer guaranteed success. It is not without reason that many fundamental discoveries or inventions were made almost at the same time and independently by several people. Thus, the phenomenon of material realization moving in the space of variations is revealed. Things that are bound to happen do so in due time. Leonardo da Vinci anticipated many of the inventions that only now have materialized into physical reality. It would seem that it is all so obvious anyway. However, the mind keeps forgetting about it all the time, attempting to break free from the flow and trying to submit the flow to his control. I already mentioned that the flow of variations is a luxurious gift to your mind. You should always keep in mind and make use of this fortune. Then a lot of problems and obstacles will pass you by. The consequence of the mind's struggle with the flow of variations makes out a significant part of problems in human relationships. Criticism is the direct result of internal intention. Encouragement and focusing on the positive qualities of a person belong to external intention. Criticizing someone is the same as fighting the outside world. You won't benefit from it in any way, unless you consider attempting to vent your spleen and annoying your foe beneficial. Encouragement, on the contrary, is the driving force when it comes to people. By accusing and criticizing a person, you are trying to influence him with your internal intention. By highlighting his virtues, in spite of everything, you won't lose anything, but you are letting the situation develop in your favor. Do not blame others for anything. Lots of people tend to blame themselves and carry inside the feeling of guilt, but no one is willing to stand being accused by other people. When condemning himself, a person could even get masochistic. However, accusations from other people will always be hurtful to the one under accusation. A person will feel hurt in any case, even if he is wrong and the accusation is warranted. But of what use is it to you? To vent your spleen? But by doing so, you are creating an excess potential, which will only be a problem to you. If your main goal is to convince a man that he is wrong, then again, you are bound to fail. While listening to your accusations, that person hardly fully admits that he is wrong, even if he tells you that he agrees with you. You could see some results by attempting to use your accusations to assert yourself at the expense of others or to establish control over somebody, but in that case, you would turn into a manipulator. If you do not have any of these goals, abandon criticism and accusations. By accusing and criticizing people, you are beating the water with your hands and trying to swim against the flow. Never mind other people's flaws and think only about their virtues. This is what moving with the flow is all about, and it will bring you invaluable profit. Never mind other people's flaws and think only about their virtues. This is what moving with the flow is all about, and it will bring you invaluable profit. If your watcher is not asleep, he will always be ready to help you find an explanation to why a person who you are about to condemn is acting the way he does. The watcher, being your inner observer, won't let you immerse yourself in the game and start an argument or a fight. Look at the game from the outside as a viewer. Remember, criticism won't bring anything but harm, so keep moving with the flow. Accusations and criticism cannot play a positive part. because these two things get a person off balance and throw him out of the flow with which he was moving. The flow was leading him to a specific goal. In the end, all people are guided by their motivations and aspirations. By encouraging a person, in spite of everything, you are directing him into, for you, favorable channel without diverting him away from his flow and going against his aspirations. Thus, your wishes and his become parallel. No one's rights are impaired, no one's pride is hurt, and now your interests become mutual. And do you like it when somebody is criticizing you? Either you cannot stand the criticism or you are trying to convince yourself that it is warranted. In both cases, you are not accepting the criticism unless, of course, you have developed a guilt complex. A certain amount of criticism could urge you on, make you act properly. However, you can only force your mind to do something. Forcing your soul is impossible. She always either does what she wants or hinders the mind from doing what should be done. Criticism makes your soul your mind's enemy. Criticism makes your soul your mind's enemy, while encouragement makes your soul your mind's ally. Thus, encouragement is the creative force, while criticism is the devastating, destructive force. That is exactly why business managing personnel are selected so that future leaders would not be focusing on criticizing bad work, which is what any bungler can do, but rather they would be capable of organizing an enthusiastic atmosphere in the workplace where people would want to do their jobs. And when does that happen? It happens when, by contributing to the common cause, people feel their personal significance. If you want to make enemies, keep arguing and proving you're right at any cost. In the chapter, The Flow of Variations, we have already discussed how bad and pointless it is striving to prove at all costs that you are right. If the argument is of principal significance to you, when your interests do not really allow you to give up your stand, argue away. In other cases, give others the right to beat the water with their hands. You won't gain anything by winning an argument. However, you could very well get yourself a new enemy. If a person is talking nonsense with confidence, and you make it clear to him, he will never agree with such a thing. Or rather, if he has a tendency to self-reproach and a heightened feeling of guilt, he might agree with you. But do you need to win over somebody like that? If your interests won't suffer in any way, let others claim things that you do not agree with. That way you won't be creating excess potential, and you won't be fighting the flow. Arguing people are usually immersed in a game. They are soundly asleep. To not let yourself get involved in the game, you need to wake up and activate your inner watcher. If there are several people taking part in a dispute, go down to the auditorium and watch the game from there for a while. Take the role of a logical viewer and you will get a huge advantage. While each participant is trying to realize his internal intention, proving their point of view, you will come up with a solution invisible to all of the other debaters. Just don't impose the solution onto everybody. The important thing is to offer solutions. Let others break their lances. If you have won an argument, consider yourself to have suffered a defeat. Even if your opponents formally admitted to you being right, you can be sure that in their thoughts, they will find plenty of informal arguments in their favor. In any case, the personal significance of he who lost the argument will get a blow. And who delivers that blow? He who was able to see his viewpoint through. After all, you wouldn't want to punch that person in the face. In the very same way, you shouldn't want to deliver a blow to the sense of personal significance of another person. It happens very often that people hurt each other this way. This is always a hidden kind of hurt because people bear it in silence. People do not like to openly demonstrate their desire to strengthen their significance. It is assumed that significance is already there anyway, so no one wants to show that he is fighting for his significance, even though everyone is doing it everywhere you look. If a person received a blow to his significance and remained silent, do not think that he didn't get hurt in any way or that he accepted the blow. Resentment will live, if not in his consciousness, then in his subconscious. You won the argument, and you believe that by doing so you increased your significance. But you did it at the expense of your opponent. The outcome of this situation is always hidden resentment, and you know yourself that it will not bring you any good. Besides, the defeated opponent will never admit to this significance of yours. There is one more fantastic method of setting a person against you. Let him know how good you are in comparison to him. You shall not make for yourself an idol, and you shall not make for yourself a foe. That is the main motto of relationships that are moving with the flow. Avoid, like the plague, any attempts to hurt the sense of significance in other people. Let me repeat that. Avoid, like the plague, any attempts to hurt the sense of significance in other people. Let it become a taboo of sorts. By doing so, you will relieve yourself of tons of problems and plenty of trouble, the causes of which won't be clear to you, due to the concealed nature of a blow to someone else's significance. What is the person arguing with you actually doing? He is defending his personal significance in one way or another. Meet him halfway. Agree to what he is saying, and by having agreed with him, you will give him what he was trying to achieve all along. Now you can calmly discuss your point of view, not trying to impose or prove anything, but simply talking about it. In that case, you are not only moving with the flow, you are making use of external intention as well. Consequently, you will get the most fantastic results. You won't be able to achieve such results by any other intellectual trick. In the very beginning of a conversation with another person, you need to adjust your thinking so that you are both looking in one direction. In the very beginning of a conversation with another person, you need to adjust your thinking so that you are both looking in one direction. If his first response to what you said is no, then there is no point in persuading him further. He has turned to the other side. He has turned to the other side, and he won't be moving with the flow together with his partner, you. It is important to, from the very beginning, make the person say yes. Never start a discussion with sharp angles. Begin saying anything else as long as your partner will agree with you. Having done so, you can gradually start discussing more controversial issues. Now there are many more chances, as you are now automatically moving with the flow in one direction, and the radiation of your thoughts is not in dissonance with the thought radiation of your partner. If you have dropped a brick and are awaiting a fair accusation, don't get ready to defend yourself. Simply admit to your mistake in advance. This person that is about to call down the wrath of justice will probably immediately assume a big-hearted and indulgent position. In a case like that, you cannot really say that was the best defense. In a case like that, you cannot really say that the best defense is offense. Turns out that you agreed with the viewpoint of your opponent in advance, and thus you gave the green light to his internal intention. By your anticipated obedience, you are realizing his internal intention to put you back in your place and at the same time increase his significance. Yet, since you are not doing it because you have to, but of your own free will, your significance doesn't suffer in any way. Hence, you kill two birds with one stone. You increase the significance of your opponent, for which he will be grateful, and you do not drop yours. Defending your mistakes, you are rowing against the flow and giving energy to pendulums. The desire to justify yourself no matter what is due to a heightened level of inner importance. Drop this back-breaking burden, give yourself the right to make mistakes, and let yourself make them. Do not defend your mistakes. Consciously admit to them. Let me repeat that. Do not defend your mistakes. Consciously admit to them instead. Life will get much easier right away. I have already mentioned that ignoring remarks made by other people could prove to be quite useful. Suggestions made by others, which you tend to oppose at the first impulse, turn out to be not so entirely devoid of sense. You feel hurt by other people's remarks and suggestions if you somehow have an elevated level of internal importance. Throw away importance. Stop resisting the flow and admit to someone else being right, or at least take their opinion into account. Tell that person that he was actually right when he was saying this and that. You'll see the result. You don't need to tell him that he was right, but do it anyway. After all, you won't lose anything. Everyone makes mistakes, fools and wise ones alike. But in contrast to the former, the wise one will admit his mistakes. So having admitted that this person was right at the time, you will immediately get his favor. People are living in an aggressive world of pendulums, where one has to stand one's ground and defend oneself every given minute. And here you are, offering a person to do it for him. At the moment, the problem of defending his ground against you is solved. He immediately feels a sense of relief. He is grateful to you for helping him in his fight. He is grateful to you for helping him in this fight. To him, you are no longer an enemy, but an ally. This whole situation is instantly played in the mind of your partner on a subconscious level. You think the same way when you are sleeping awake. But if you practice awareness, it won't be difficult to you, and even interesting to take on the role of the witness of someone else being right. When somebody turned out to be right, others will keep silent, but you should recognize him being right. If this moment is of principal importance to that person, then he will be in your debt. In any case, he will be grateful, and to the most part without being aware of it. Imagine what kind of jungle people are actually living in. They always have to be on their guard, view everyone as a potential enemy, even if a relationship appears to be amicable on the outside. Everyone cares for themselves and is always ready to defend themselves. This is not an exaggeration in any way. It is just that we are all long used to this being the state of affairs. In an environment like that, you'll become a true find for people who are tired of fighting. Can you imagine how many allies you could get? And there is only so much you need to do. You need to drop your importance and not be too lazy to admit someone else being right. You are acting consciously, and that is your advantage. But people are asleep, and they won't say thanks to you. However, if they could wake up and consciously express their attitude, then you will hear them say, "This person is fairly clever. I like this person. I am fond of him." No one will tell you these things aloud or even secretly. However, if one were to express a subconscious experience, it would be exactly that. People, preoccupied and burdened by importance, do not notice anything else but importance. You have a great advantage: awareness, lack of importance, and consideration of others. Use this advantage of yours, and you will see gold where others see nothing but rocks.